but actually, you just said United had over 100 shots in the last three games.
3 games, yeah.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Against them?
Against them, yeah.
Mate, I think 83 or something like that entries into the box against Brentford.
We used to get more than that when you were in the back.
You know what? That is, as much as like we're laughing.
You think that's impressive?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Sorry.
You're centre back on Sunday for United at Old Trafford. You're going out onto that pitch with the other players, so you're taking Lindelof's place. What are you doing in the next 3 days to make sure that United only have a few shots on the goal against Liverpool?
Fucking prayer.
Tough question.
It's a tough question.
No, I'm saying you're an experienced centre back. You're the captain of the team.
I think
you've seen him do that every week now for about 6 months. What are you doing?
I look at when I first come to United, I understood what that game immediately. Like from use, I was asking questions about like. I'm hearing Liverpool's a massive, massive game. So I start asking questions. I'll be trying to get into the players what this game means to the people, to us as players, to try and charge people up to get them to, so the motivation seems to be there. I think this team's been questioned about motivation, application, like the work ethic, body language. Like in that game, it's like that's illegal to be thrown at you in them type of games. So just that as a starting point will be where I began. I think tactics and that will be the manager sorts all that shit out. But I think I'd be the enormity of this game. You need to understand what this means. You can't walk down the street after this game. You get beat or you get embarrassed. Yep. And we got embarrassed at times.
But that midfield in front of you. What I'm saying is that midfield that, to be fair, is quite empty.
Yeah, discipline. I need people in front. I'll be saying that as a centre back, listen, I need some protection in front of, so they don't just seamlessly come through and get to us without any resistance. That's what it seems like in a minute.
Yeah.
Transitions in games.
Do you think that's down to the players or the manager though?
But I think it's a bit of both.
It happens every game.
Every game.
So
every game a team.
I look at Man United and I know Ten Hag had a little pop at me a couple of months ago, which is fine, but it hasn't changed when I watched that Brentford game where it's like it's two separate teams in one. So you've got sort of like the front five almost trying to press, and everyone's just this massive space. So surely, I just think if you're any competent coach you'd look at that and go, okay, we're either all up there or we're all back here. It's not. I don't think it's that difficult.
But surely, as a player, you should recognise as a midfielder, they're getting in a few times. I need to offer a bit more protection.
But
as a midfielder,
you need leaders to be talking like that and pulling people about in the games and saying sit. How many times people would turn around or you'd say to someone, "Listen, next 5 minutes, just sit and stay tight. Be hard to play against." But don't seem. I think emotion comes into this team a lot. They're quite emotional players. They just go gung ho at times and just lose.
Fernandes does that a lot.
Yeah, and they lose that kind of. There's no rigidness to the team.
But we keep expecting to change, don't we? I think it'll be the same on Sunday.
But that's my point. If it doesn't change,
strange.
I can see that in a one-off game where someone's lost their head or they get a bit excited and they're running all over the place. But it happens that often, the same thing. That surely
every week
the manager must accept it to a certain point and say, well, okay, there's something in it that he likes, or so. I can't quite work out because it's not like Pep or Klopp and we're talking about overload midfield and transitions and people moving here and really complicated. We're talking about something that we'd expect from the teams coming up.
Do you think he thinks the players are still good enough to play that open way, like they did in the Cup?
I think it's more defending, Roy, than when you say open up. I think we always associate with the ball, don't we? Okay, we're on the ball, we're all flying forward. But this is Man United without the ball. And the most obvious thing for any team at any level of football is to be together.
Compact.
Yeah. Because you have to break down.
You see when you watch the game, especially at home, obviously the fans are behind them. They start the game, and even, what game was it? They started and they scored early and everything, and they still pushing men forward, the front end, but the midfield. They weren't man-to-man on them, so if they did win it up there, they were too far off of the mid. So they broke the first press, straight into the midfield, and then it was Fulham. It was when I watched against Fulham. A Wobie turn straight into the back, and you think to yourself, how can that be that easy?
But you look at Kobe Mainoo as well. Everyone's raving about him, and rightly so. He's been magnificent since he's come into the team. But I don't see anyone trying to protect him. He's a kid. Imagine a young kid coming into one of our teams. You try and protect that kid. There's only probably the odd one, like maybe a Rooney, you don't have to protect. But in the main, let's make sure there's bodies around. Don't leave him exposed. How many games you see him get left exposed and you think, for a young kid, he shouldn't be. Imagine that feeling, being exposed in that midfield. It's a lonely place in there if it's big spaces. So they're the things that I think that there's got to be older players, leaders in that team, or the coaches that go, listen, you make sure you tighten up in that area, especially for the game at the weekend. But the point you made before about, or was it you, James, about there's no fear maybe, or from the manager's point of view, from the players looking up. I remember when I come to United, I used to laugh and giggle a little bit when I used to hear like Giggsy or Bex go, I'm on that side of the pitch, or you even, I'm on that side of the pitch. I just, what are you talking? The manager's side, I'm on his side. You don't fucking shut up. You don't shut up. He's on me all game. And then the odd time where it rolls under your foot and goes out, just for lack of conversation.
What was the odd time that? What the game now?
He would roast you. I used to think, these are like, they've won 5-6 Premier Leagues, Champions League, etc. Successful fellas, experienced, and they're like shitting themselves a little bit about having to walk in at half time after being on that side of the pitch. But I don't sense that fear, or a little bit of fear, maybe even respect maybe for the manager at the moment. Not respect will be strong, but the fear factor to say, I need to put in certain elements that are non-negotiables. The fundamentals of being a footballer, work hard, body language, etc. That don't seem to happen for me.
Do you think there's like an element of panic at the minute? Because I remember the Brentford game, was it Martinez come on and he just outside of the foot just whacked the ball at Harry Maguire, and I was like, why are you doing that in that moment? It was like a bit of build-up play. And I feel like when I watch Maguire for United versus England, when he's with Stones, he looks a lot more calm, I think, sometimes. And as a centre-half, did that play a big difference, who you were playing alongside?
Yeah, I think you definitely get comfort in like the familiarity with a player, always seeing the same person by his side, and they've played together for quite a long time, haven't they, Stones and Maguire? Yeah. But I just think the environment at England's different. It's a more stable, calm environment that they've all kind of bought into. The environment at United still, like, they don't know where it's going. They don't know what direction they're going. So.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
It's not a team, does it?
Because that Nando's going to get cold, isn't it?
I don't think it's a coincidence that Kobe Mainoo's man of the match in that game with people around him, because he's obviously got people talking to him.
Yeah.
He looked...
Who was that, sorry?
Kobe Mainoo.
Yeah.
Man of the match for the England game.
Yeah,
He was
Declan Rice, I could hear
next to him, and
saying,
behind him.
Rio, you mentioned body language, and I've thought about this a lot in the last few days, and it was the topic of conversation after the game on Saturday night after the Brentford game. Marcus Rashford, I don't know how to say this, but to me there's something not right. He's not right. And it's not just a case of he's not playing football well, he doesn't look happy. And I'm looking at him thinking, actually I'm worried about him. And I don't know whether when you watch him, you watch a player and you think, actually there's something there. We know there's obviously been a couple of incidents this season, we know he's coming under a bit of pressure, his form's bad, we know that. But I look at him and I think, that's not right. I genuinely would worry about him at this moment in time, because it's not a lad that's grown up with the spirit and freedom of playing for United as a kid. That is something who's... Do you feel the same way, that you have that sense of worry about him rather than thinking, oh, why is he not doing this or why is he not doing that? I've gone past that now. I feel like genuinely a different place.
I think it's a pivotal moment in his career now. I think he's not a kid anymore, do you know what I mean? I think a lot of people look at our potential, talent, and 26, what was you doing at 26? Do you know what I mean? But we're all still making mistakes, don't get me wrong, but on the football pitch, you kind of had it locked down, you knew what you were doing, you knew what you were about, you knew who you were type thing, but I think there's a big decision to make with him. From him, I think he's got to look at who's around him. I know his family play a big part with him, which is great, but then who are the external people around that? Are they the right people? Are they enabling him to make excuses for himself behind closed doors, or are they saying, listen, look at yourself and be accountable for what you're doing and what you are at the moment? How are we going to get through this? Or is it just an excuse environment he's in? He needs to look at that and own that, and I think make big decisions. I think that even when I left Leeds, it's different, but I left Leeds, I could have gone to Chelsea, and it's probably a club that I probably preferred to go to at the time, but the reason I left to go to Leeds was because it was out of London, and the external people around me I needed to get away from. He might need to be in that situation and go, do you know what? I'll get rid of him and stay in Manchester, or I've got to leave Manchester and get rid of those people. It might not just be that. I think it's an accumulation of different things, but that could be a big part, because the people around you do have a big influence on how you are. It's definitely, especially accountability.
How good do you think he is now? I think Rashford probably over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, alongside probably Fernandes, have probably been seen as the players for United who they've got. I mean, how good do you think he is? Because when people say he's out of form, or he should be doing this, he should be doing that, is he of the level of Salah, Son, Haaland, those type of... I don't actually think he is. I think he's just... I've always said that. I think he's just a level below that. So I sometimes think the expectation on him to be what they are for their teams. I'm not quite sure he's at that level, to be honest.
I think he's shown moments where you go,
His
he's that
City
level.
goal, the goal
You talk about
against
those
City.
teams, the structure behind those teams to
Yeah,
help
different.
those players as
So
well.
you think if he was in a better, so we'll go back to Rio's point, if he moved to a team that had better structure, better organisation, whatever,
I think so,
you
because-
think he'd be at that level?
Only because of the ability that we've seen, and we've seen in flashes, and not just on the Premier League stage, on the world stage. We've seen him in World Cup play well as well. And I think that, you know, he's somebody that he's had good moments and he's had bad moments. And what you need is a consistency with your team that can make you continue to play consistently. I think when we're talking about body language and everything, it can get dangerous because nobody at Man United for me is playing particularly well. He gets more. He gets more for whatever reason. Maybe like when you was talking about not long ago, coming from the area and he should be doing more. Yes, I understand all that. But he does get more. But I think a lot of it does stem from the fact that he's not in a great structure of how he played. He came through all that time when he had the injury and he was still playing through the injury. All that stuff, he's been through a lot to get to where he is now, and he's still inconsistent. And I think it's got something to do with the way they play, and he's not playing in a system what's making him grow in the system.
But when you're the biggest player, you're the biggest star, the light shines bright
Absolutely.
on you. And in moments where it's not going well, you're the guy that takes all of the kind of the punches, and it's unfortunate for him. But when you talk about is he that level, I think he does show moments where you go, gee, he does take your breath away with some of the things that he does. He just doesn't do it enough. And I agree with Right. I don't know if it's the team. He needs a structure. I think we all needed a team around us to be the players that we became. And he hasn't had the consistent team around him or the consistency of the managers being there. But I just think you just put ability to one side and you just look at the basics of his game. Like, what's he good at? He's great at running behind. As a defender, I wouldn't want to play against him. He'd give you nightmares because he can run behind, he's so quick, his timing's brilliant. He can finish as well. But either he doesn't run behind as much as maybe he should, or he's disillusioned because the ball ain't coming and he's kept running behind, it ain't coming, and I don't know what it is. He needs to work that. I mean, you're a striker, right? What would you be doing in those situations where it's not going for you?
But the thing is, with me and the way I played up front, I was up the centre, waiting for things to build up. He's on the left, waiting for things to happen. And when sometimes the ball comes to him, maybe after a while he hasn't had it, and he's trying to take people on, and you lose the ball in those situations. Whereas some of the times me playing down the centre, you can make a run, you might get a shot, you lay it off, you get in, you're involved in the game all the time. You're building yourself in the game. And when you look at Rashford, some of the times he's not in the game at all, which is very difficult.
My thing about him is he's had good seasons and not good, great seasons. And listen, we've all been there as players, but you said before about not having that team and structure behind him, and I get that. But I played in a Liverpool team who was never the best. A team fighting for the top four, and that's what Man United have probably been over the last sort of, say, 7 or 8 years. And you had sort of Stevie being that figure. So I'm saying Rashford's that figure, the main man, you know, he shines brightly on him. I'd want more from him, not just say he's got to score every week, but taking that sort of mantle of like, I'm going to run everywhere. You're almost, you're looking down
Do
and
we make excuses for him?
I know, that's what I agree. And I go back to Tottenham. You're talking about other teams having structure. Tottenham have been a basket case for a long time. You know, like different managers, different styles of play. Harry Kane's always there. Son's always there.
What do you mean excuses for?
It's just the structure around him, the team around him.
Do you think he'd
the
be
manager?
the way his ability? Do you think
there's not-
in a structured team would he be playing better?
There's no question mark about his ability, absolutely.
But right-
we've all made the point, he's outstanding, but there's something amiss with him. You look, and we've had these conversations every few months. A player can have an off spell or a dip, but I just look at it, I almost look as if he's certainly not enjoying his football.
No, Roy, we veered to football, but actually before when I was talking and said about I'm worried about him, you were nodding.
Yeah.
I'm actually worried about him to me beyond
Personal.
football. Yeah, look at him.
I wouldn't say I'm worried about him, but you look at a player and go, there's something amiss, there's something going on with this kid.
Didn't
You're on about the people around him, would it be family or the manager? You're on about Ferguson, like screaming, who's on his case every day?
Yeah.
Who's giving him, there's nothing wrong with the old-fashioned kick up the arse and go, come on, we need more from you when the team's not at it. If you want to be this leader and you're on the big contracts, then there is that
But he
responsibility.
still needs that. He needs that to be happening. If there's no one around for him to happen.
But I don't think that is happening. I don't think there's anybody on his case. But that doesn't mean to say he still can't produce and start running a bit more. He's been at the club a long time, since he was a kid. Pressure affects different players. Body language, you go down to it. But sometimes there is that. Sometimes you got to get hold of a player and go,
Nothing changes in respect of an experienced
but
players
he's-
in a
but-
team
but
that's
there's
meant to help
experience-
you.
There's loads of experience around him.
Who would you
Centre-halves,
say?
you've got Maguire's experience, Varane's experience.
He's not that. But I'd have expected more from Varane. But like Maguire.
Yeah, but these experience, right? You've asked. There's experienced players around him. There's international players around him. Players who are older.
He hasn't got respect for them players.
I feel
don't
like
think
Man
he's got
United
respect for
though.
them.
That might be the thing.
But he
That
has,
might be it.
but he has
I'm telling you.
experience around him.
He's
That's
got
not
experience
the issue.
around him, but you have to respect the experience around you because look at Harry Maguire and what Harry Maguire's going through. Yes, you'd like to think that Harry can step above that and try and help a young player through, but man's got his own problems. And if that was the case, surely he'd be helping Marcus.
But the other players, lads who've won the World Cup, lads who've won European Cups, are they getting a grip of him?
Shouldn't Rashford be helping? What I'm saying is Rashford's the main
goes hand in hand.
He's the
It
main
goes hand in
man.
hand.
26, isn't he?
In 26.
Young and
It's
everything.
really,
goes hand in hand,
you know
lads.
what? I hear what Gary's saying, and there's a deep worry to him because, like, for his form and like people talk about how he is on the pitch and everything.
Any chips?
It's really, it's not chips, it's rice.
Chips.
There's
But why
in
are we
it.
having the same conversation every few months about Rashford?
I don't know why he gets so much, to be honest, for some
But
reason.
I
You know, I
think-
saw him do
I
an
think-
interview the other day talking about why are they talking about my off-field, my this, my that? Why is all that part of it? Why does that have to be part of it? Why all of them are buying the gear and buying the cars and doing the stuff and he's the one that's more than anyone else, especially, who gets hammered.
Do you think, like, should you be, I don't know, getting caught, like, going out and whatever else, would you not be a little bit more careful?
Well, when you're
'Cause
going
you know
out, Jill,
all that-
you're trying to be careful. Things happen. Things
But
happen.
if all the
Maybe you shouldn't
eyes
be there.
if all the eyes are on you and you know there's that like heated press on you at the minute, do you know what I mean? I think why are you maybe missing
To be honest, I
training
don't
and
mind.
stuff
I mean,
like
listen,
that?
we've all
Living his
got a
life,
little
he's
bit
a
of
young
time
guy.
As well. When you're at
Well-
United, just
Yeah, I can imagine what it's like, being at United.
When the boss left, it's been talked about now for I don't know how long, 10, 11 years ago. You were there at the very beginning when obviously it went from sort of the boss leaving to this new era of which has been a struggle. And it became difficult quite quickly. And then obviously you were still there, Nemanja Vidic was still there, I think Patrice was still there, Michael Carrick was still there, Giggsy was still there. You think about the 5 or 6 players in that dressing room. What changed? What was it that all of a sudden became going from a title winner to feeling? Because obviously you were title winners. You know, between you all, you won dozens of them. What happened? I mean, I wasn't there. What happened in that dressing room psychologically, culturally, mentally? What happened?
we were old. That was one thing. We were old. Like the guys you mentioned there. Nah, I don't know. I
The
think
word was really that he came in and he changed a lot of things, telling you stuff and what you weren't used to. And
Yeah, I think there's a few like old wives' tales. There's like lies, little white lies.
Right.
That would say he showed us me and Nemanja Vidic a video of like Phil Jagielka and
Yeah.
whoever.
Did that happen?
No,
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen. No.
No, okay.
But
It was less Scott.
do you know what it was? It was 2 moments happened. Well, two moments, probably 3. One of the moments I remember getting on the plane after. You know what them tours are like? We used to go to, like, I think it was Asia or something that we went with them. Tiring, weren't they? They were tiring tours, long 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Hard work, time difference, etc. I remember getting on the plane on the way home and seeing the manager sprawled out on the chair, looked dishevelled. Big club, this, innit? That's what he said to me.
Wow.
And I thought, like, I've said this before, but like a kit launch at Everton's at Goodison on the pitch, innit? No disrespect, the kit launch at United's like a worldwide tour.
Yeah.
It's very different. So he quickly grasped that at the end of this tour, and I thought, okay, I'd like to have thought that he might have known that before. Okay, you let that pass. We play against Liverpool and Chelsea, and I remember in the training sessions we were setting up to stop Hazard and Coutinho, and he put a box in the middle of the pitch, or in the area that they play under, the inside left, and the players were looking at each other like, we don't really set up to stop individuals. Never done that at United, really. I don't know if you guys remember anything like that. Messi didn't even really have a massive plan for him. We should have.
Should have done.
But it wasn't like it was
Like
almost
focus
like
on
that,
what
yeah, it
you
was
used
almost
to.
like that mindset as that you worry about us more than we worry about you. And them 2 games really made me think, wow, we're setting up almost like as a defeatist mentality and very different to what a title-winning team was last season. So it was a very big shift in the mindset, and that was one of the things that I think a lot of the players were like, not against him, but just like it gives you a question mark in your head, and that little question mark is a big a big thing within the squad.
It reminds me a little bit of when Roy Hodgson came to Liverpool, and David Moyes done a brilliant job at Everton, but it's a completely different job at Man United and Roy at Liverpool. And I always remember you can't change your mindset, really. It's difficult. And I always remember, I think the third or fourth game of that season, you played at Anfield. I think I just joined Sky, and Daniel Sturridge scored the winner. Remember, like a back header. And then second half, I don't know if you were playing in the game, Rio, but you push Liverpool back and you hit the crossbar, but you lost the game. And then I always remember Moyes' interview afterwards. It was like he was really pleased with how you played.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, that's the mentality, that's what Everton would have done if they'd come to Anfield. They'd go, my God, we put them on, I know we lost, but we put them on the back foot, we did this. And I was thinking, it doesn't matter how you play in them games, even if you play well. If you get beat, you got beat. Yeah. And that's the end of it. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought, he's going to have to get used to that change of, like, it's not enough going away to a big ground and playing well if you get beat. And it's just trying to change that mentality, I think, for a manager is difficult.
But really, from a player's perspective, did you feel that did you feel that the team and the players dropped any percentage? Do you feel like there was an element of sort of also, there was a bit of a bit like, you know what I mean, just to that edge off your game, you know what I mean? You know, it's like,
I think we were talking about Marcus there, just about personal pride of performance and whatnot, and effort and work ethic we were just all talking about. I think that's something that I don't think really drops, your work ethic. But in terms of like tactical, when you I don't know, have you ever been in a changing where you're questioning the manager's tactics in your head? It does take something out of you, I think. And the first thing you do, if you're not as sure about and confident in them tactics, you do look over that little look over your shoulder as to what are we doing, is a big thing and takes out of your game.
To be fair, it's not that, it's actually devastating. Because the minute the players start doing that, it's a devastating thing in any, well, not just in any football team, in any sort of environment, because that's where you start to get that negativity spiral. When you're all starting to sort of whisper and you're all starting to talk, and then not the excuses, but the drain starts to occur, I think.
A little thing, remember what the boss used to do, where we used to go on a Friday night at a hotel or the Saturday morning before a game. If you sat at your table, you knew someone was getting told that they're not playing, or he's changed the squad. You're out of the squad door. You're going to be in the stands. He said, I remember David Moyes said, I don't do that. You're just not playing. Whoever it is, I'm not explaining myself to anybody. If you want to come and see me Monday. So obviously there's a lot of.
Was he aggressive in his vibe?
He's just this is what I am. This is what I'm doing, and I know you respect that. But then sometimes if it's a squad game, and the squad wins you everything, it ain't just the first 11. You got to take care of those other guys who are on the peripheral of the squad, the peripheral of the team. And he was like, this is the way I'm doing it now. And so that doesn't affect me because I was playing at the time when he first come in. But there are players, Chicharito for instance, you could tell he's sitting there going, like, Sir Alex Ferguson respected me.
Yeah.
And he took that as maybe as a disrespect. And other players who were squad players maybe the same.
You know, when you've been with one manager for so long, I remember when we changed managers at City, and when I look back, I had such a closed mindset. I wasn't open to change. And plus, you're at United, you've been winning things, and then someone comes in. Do you think there was a little bit of that as well, or were you open to change?
You're right. David Moyes said to me once, he said, I felt like the stepfather walking in trying to instruct the children of the father that's left.
Can't win.
Sure.
He said, and I thought it was a really, I've never heard a better analogy, actually.
Yeah, it's a good analogy simply because he was chosen by Sir Alex to come in. He's been given this kind of like esteem. So he's coming in and he wants people to know that I'm here, man, this is it, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You have to look at it from David Moyes' point of view as well. This is a massive thing for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive thing for him.
Did Ferguson ever come in? Even though, not at all, no. There's always them stories years ago at Liverpool when Shankly left that he'd still sort of pop into the training ground. Was there ever that feeling that he'd be about? No?
No. I went and see the gaffer around Christmas time for a coffee. He asked to see me, just asking what's going on. And I was like, it's not going that way.
You ratted him out.
Not going that way at the moment. We're not winning games. You know what I mean? So you could just say what's on the tin. But the gaffer obviously wanted him to do well. Do you know what I mean? The way he spoke to me was like he was gutted with the way things were panning out, and so I felt sorry for David Moyes. I think anyone who come in there is an impossible job. After Klopp now, who comes in, it's going to have to go some to keep that consistency and recharge that team and go again. But
is it you?
You still hope a group of players, though, a senior group of players, would would give a manager the benefit of the doubt. I know we've had conversations before about different managers going in and the perception of a manager coming in and would it be the staff he brings in. Obviously Ferguson's left and he makes a couple of them decisions and the players who are set in their ways, and then it's subconsciously you're already making your mind up that maybe he's not the one. So what chance has a manager got when he walks into a building?
Exactly.
And you're still talking about experienced players not going, okay, we'll have to roll with that bit. We'll have to roll with the fact he doesn't tell the players they're not playing or whatever. Because whatever you've been used to, obviously a new manager coming with new ideas.
No, them conversations did happen where you go, listen, it's changed now. Gaffer's not here no more. Just get on with it. Because you see the body language in the face.
Oh, I know, but subconsciously, Rio, you players, because that's what we do. When people come in, you're going to go, what have you got? What you bring into the party? Would it be coaching staff? And if players, especially if a group of players and a manager and he doesn't win the first few games or they don't bring a couple of players in, I think the transfer was a problem. Remember his first summer, David Moyes, he didn't get a couple of players he was after, and all of a sudden, you're almost beaten before, you're beaten before you start.
And
then you've got no momentum. Yeah, of course, that was a big one.
Massive.
He brought a player from Everton, all that type of perception of a manager coming in. And then when you've no momentum, you have no feel-good factor towards this manager, it's a long way back. Absolutely. So you do feel, I look at it from the other side, I look from a manager, go, hey lads, hopefully these experienced players will get me over the line as well, where I am finding my feet, even though he's an experienced manager.
Also, we were told, the first thing I said, we were old. As players, your impact and influence on a team's like doing that. So there's new young players, the Chris Smallings, Phil Jones are coming in, and they're having more of an impact in the team from a playing perspective. I get your point about in the background talking, but your main talking and your main work does get done in the 90 minutes. So it becomes difficult. Giggsy's not playing as much, do you know what I mean? Nemanja Vidic
What about the
injuries.
staff, Rio? Was that an issue? Like David, I know there was a lot of talking, and I would never knock a manager for bringing all his own staff in, but then there was talk, he should have kept on to one or two. I'm not saying that would have been the answer, like Mickey Phelan or one or two others. Was that feeling amongst the players a little bit? There was lots of change.
No, I think the manager said to me, like he said that he did say to David Moyes, he advised him maybe to keep one of his staff on, either Rene,
Continuity.
Right, yeah, and I get that.
or Mick Phelan. And Mick Phelan, listen, I called Mick Phelan out a couple of times when I was there. I've spoken to him since about it, and the manager said to me in uncertain terms when he told me to shut up, he said, the importance of this man, don't ever underestimate it because of what he does for me as a manager. He allows me to like delegate and let him do a lot of the hard pushing and pulling, and I just
See the referee in training, just bullied.
Hammered him every day. But he said like that was what they would have been there for, to kind of appease him a little bit and get him through that the hurdles that he'll come across. But he chose to go his own way, and again I respect that. He said, "Listen, I'm not listening to you. You're the main man, Sir Alex, but I'm going to go my own way." And I respected that, but with hindsight, which is a great thing, he probably would have maybe had a little bit more help. Just that getting on the plane, I probably wouldn't have seen him like that, dishevelled after the tour for 2 weeks, because Mick Phelan would have dealt with all logistics, all of the medical staff, and when you get up, when you go to bed, when you're eating your food, etc., and travel.
Might have had a night out, Rio. Give him a break. Jesus Christ. We've all gotten planes like that, haven't we? After the tour.
Rio, just going back a little bit before that, the period from 2006 to 2011 is Manchester United's most successful period ever, in the sense there was four title wins and 3 Champions League finals. And the greatest team of all time is now, widely recognised as being that Barcelona team that we played twice in the Champions League final. Do you ever look back at those 2 matches and you're smiling now? Because obviously I was there, I think, for both of them in terms of hearing the sort of team talks. I retired on the second one and was still in the dressing room though. Do you look back at those things and think, that would have been us? We'd have been the greatest team of all time if we'd beaten Barcelona in them 2 games. What do you reflect upon those 2 games and how, what could we have done differently?
Scored more.
What that Barcelona team?
They were too good.
amazing.
They were just like that. That's it. Like it almost gives me a little bit of like what's the word where you go? It takes the sting out of it a little bit that they were actually that good. If we get people like team that's in and around us, we should have done a bit more. Listen, they took all our weapons off us, and we went to a war with no guns, no knives. Like that's what it felt like. It's the only time in my career where I've been in a game and thought, we can't do anything. That's what it felt like, and they were that good. They had us like on a roundabout, continuous, just like flying about, dizzy. I remember me and Emmanuel standing at Wembley, and just, you have that sometimes you have a look at each other during a game, and it's like you haven't got to say a word, but
Yeah.
we're getting
Like,
pumped.
oh, shit.
We're getting pumped, and like can't do nothing about it.
Who was their forwards then, the front three?
Was it Pedro,
Pedro
Messi?
one side, Messi was the false number 9 then, and just didn't play nowhere near
David
us.
Villa.
And David Villa.
It was one of the
Pedro
best
was
football matches I've ever
Pedro
seen.
was the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, because without the ball, he was a
was running
trigger.
behind, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
trigger, run behind, but the trigger, as soon as they lost the ball, bang, he was like, they were so aggressive. All 5'5", aggressive, just take the ball off you. It was
I
like-
always
Before
remember
the game, they were saying
Wembley
United
game.
would have an advantage because it's at Wembley.
Yeah.
Kind of home.
I remember
We're favourites.
when the teams got picked, and I was at home, obviously desperate to see Barcelona win it, but no, I remember looking at the Man U team going, wow.
Very
It was
good
like
team.
Giggsy played centre, it was
That's
like
right,
4-4-2.
Giggs, yeah.
Giggs was in centre midfield, I think, with
Carrick,
Carrick.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
You're not getting the ball
even if
back.
you had Roy Keane and Brian Robson at the peak, in a 2 on their own in there,
getting run around.
you get run around.
4v2 in there.
And this is like, I mean, obviously Giggsy and kind of great players. And I always remember Wayne scored just before half time. And me watching it, I was thinking, because if you're getting beat 1-0, it's hard to go more defensive, if you know what I mean. And I was watching that thinking, the Rooney goal means it gives you a chance to actually get another or move Wayne wide and bring someone else in. Just go 4-5-1, and you can do that at 1-1. And then you come out second half, and it was the same. And I was like, oh my God.
You need about 9 in midfield.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's interesting. I was with Bastian Schweinsteiger yesterday, I interviewed him, and they got pumped off Barcelona. I don't know what year it was, but then they played them the year after and they beat them 7-0 over 2 legs.
Yeah.
And basically they had a meeting before the game, and they basically worked Robin and Ribery with their wide players. And obviously Barcelona's midfield fullback sometimes would come into midfield, and they literally said to Robin and Ribery, just stand in central midfield with us, and we're just going to, how many players they have in there, we're just going to go have exactly the same number of players in there. And they ended up doing them in the end and counter-attacking off them. But we were quite open in midfield that game, weren't we?
Did you feel like they just had an extra player? I remember playing Spain
Extra
loads
three,
of times.
3 or 4 players.
And I'd be like, I remember one point counting the players on the pitch. I was like, how have they got it was as if they had extra players.
I remember just standing there. I remember I picked up the ball. It was a bit of a scuffle with Busquets, and I was late on when I took the ball off him, and the referee blew the whistle, and he went, Vidic, boom, boom, boom. I felt so belittled. I felt so
Was it?
like boom,
Just
long
smashing
ball,
it.
I felt so just like, I thought, I can't even, actually, I almost laughed. I felt so embarrassed. It was like, I've never been so embarrassed on the pitch, and I remember standing after the game watching them go up to get the trophy. I think it was me, Giggsy, and Scholesy, and Wazza might have been there. And everyone does that now. I think we would have started that. Yeah. Like, let's get off this pitch. We've been embarrassed.
That's the problem when you play for a big club like United. You play Barcelona, you're on about this is the way we play, but sometimes
You have to
it's
change,
good.
yeah.
You have to change.
Yeah.
You're playing against these brilliant teams, and we've done it earlier. Barcelona used to toy with us, and we'd always play 4-4-2. So sometimes you look back and go, yeah, it's nice to be brave, but there's a fine line between brave.
Yeah. We beat Spain in the Euros, and we had 20% possession and they had 80, but we hit them on 2 counters. But if we hadn't played like that, we would have got absolute.
course,
So
yeah.
you do have to.
We'd done that in
agree.
2008, hadn't we?
Yeah, away.
Yeah.
We've done it away.
Well, and you would.
There.
No, we beat them in the semi-final in 2008. It wasn't Pep's team, but it was something similar. Scholes scored the long-range
That's right,
goal,
yeah.
1-0 over 2 legs, yeah.
And
you-
did they dominate possession?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a bit.
But I think that game, the tactics, we kind of played in both the games, both them finals, we played pressing really high.
Proactive, yeah, weren't we?
And our game around that time probably wasn't that against the big teams in Europe when we were playing, like Lyon away was a hard game back then, and other teams we used to play. We used to be a bit more solid.
Well, do you think it was something to do, because it's interesting this, I go back to the Champions League final, we played in 2005, but we did something different in that final that we'd done getting there, and I don't know if it's something to do, speaking to Rafa afterwards, it was about, it's a one-off game, it's not a 2-leg, so sometimes when you go away, you go, okay, we're doing this, and then we're going to get them at home and we're going to do this. I didn't know if maybe it might be something to do with that in terms of it's a one-off game, it's a final, no one's home or away.
The boss is a maverick though as well. He smells something and just goes with it. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I think he was. And to be fair, his instincts were right, because in the first game in Rome, if you remember, we had 3 or 4 chances that we could have scored off them playing that, but us pressing really high. But once they got that goal, the game was dead.
Do you know what I think? We're thinking about him. I think that he thought of the game as being, this is my legacy.
Yeah.
And I think he thought, I need to win this the way that I play, and we're going to go and take on Barcelona, and we're going to go and sort of, if you like, because I think the year before when we beat them in the 2008 semi-final, I don't know if you remember, you talked about tactics before, about we never did anything different. Do you remember Carlos putting the map?
Oh, yeah.
It's the only time I've ever seen a Manchester United coach. You talked about it before, and I thought about it. He put a mat on the pitch, like a rug. I don't know what it was. It was some sort of like
Cones down.
Yeah, and he basically said to Scholes and to Carrick, who are in midfield, he said, one of you's always got to be stood there, right? And so basically, if anyone, and we did the most disciplined performance I've ever seen. He actually put Rooney and Ji-sung Park, I think, in the wide areas. It was Scholes and Carrick in midfield. And basically, with this training for 2 days, even handball at times, because it was like in between games, where basically, let's say Carrick went over to this side, Scholes had to be literally on this mat, and they did it in the game for 180 minutes. It's the only time. But we were literally like.
Did it work?
Do you remember Arsenal?
It works because you win.
So
That's what it works when you get the right result.
So Arsenal at City last week, it was exactly like that for 180 minutes, and then Scholes scores a worldie.
Yeah.
Like protection. Are you going to go to DFS and drop a rug off at Carrington?
For Sunday.
Protection.
Rio, the opposite of that, the last game I saw you play was as a pundit. Would it have been at QPR at home? You finished at QPR, didn't you?
Yeah. Not good times.
And I watched you there and I thought, I always remember I finished at United, and that was me. I know you talked about it, haven't you, going up to Celtic, and you think about, do you wish you'd finished at United?
Yeah.
'Cause it was difficult to watch you at QPR in terms of how it was for you compared to how you'd been.
Yeah, because it's the first time I've been in a change room and I've heard people talk about money, wages.
That's why you went there, wasn't it?
That's why they were talking about it.
What your wages?
I'm just like, you're not training? No, like, I'm on 60 grand a week, I don't care. Like, there was like things that you'd hear, murmurings of that type of stuff, and I'm sitting there just thinking, I just don't understand this, it's mad. And players just like not training when they want, intensity weren't really high, and for whatever Harry's trying to do, it's like it was the players just never talk about buying into it, just weren't having it at all, and that team ended up getting relegated, right? But I remember I used to travel in with Bobby Zamar because we were from a similar area in the car. I remember being in the back of the car one day after about a month. And then Bobby...
Was he your driver?
All right. He was next to us.
You were in the back of the car. You driver, all right. You were, right.
And then he's gone... he just started laughing, and I was like, I hadn't said anything. And I said, you're right. He said, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, because... You could see my body was shut down. I was injuries. I was having to like plasters my way through games and manage myself through training sessions. And he was like, "Well, why are you doing this?" But it's like a boxer, and you said that one last fight. You think there's something else in there for you. You can go and play your last season in London, back home. My kids were of an age where they understood football a bit more. Yeah. I want them to see that. And then obviously my missus got ill at the time, and so that was like compounded everything, and it just kind of it all falls down then.
I bumped into you, remember? I bumped into you at Wembley, not that you ever want to listen to me. And you were on about leaving United. I said, well, whatever you do. I said, why don't you treat yourself and go abroad for a year? Yeah. You know, even I think I said France or something. I said, I'd be wary of going to another English team, because obviously what you've done at United, and you obviously didn't listen to me. Because sometimes, listen, but there are decisions you make because you spoil it. Again, leaving United was always going to be a step down, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I actually was talking to clubs abroad, because that was my first thing. I wanted to go abroad, but obviously personal circumstances.
Yeah, of course.
Changed that. So, but I wish I'd definitely.
Were the injuries kicking in then, Ree? Was it to a point where you think, you know something, I probably can get through this the way it is? I could feel it. It's like me with my ankle. I felt, you know what, I could probably get through this for another year. Was you in that place where you said, yeah, I could get through this, it would be okay?
Yeah. I did genuinely think I'd be fine. I'd get through it. Harry spoke to him, I'll manage your games. You ain't got to train every day. Just make sure you're ready for the games. And I thought, I could do that easily. But you was at United with me. Like, I used to walk in on a Monday after a game or Sunday. I used to walk in the lads used to take the piss out of me, because I'd be so bent over and I'd take tablets.
I remember that at West Ham, when I first got West Ham, they used to have that problem. You had to get rid of a car, didn't you? Because the car was bad for your back.
No, the car.
I heard that with Rodwell as well. At Everton, he used to be literally sitting on the floor, and he used to get a lot of hamstring problems.
But you change everything, you know what I mean? Your bed, you change your mattress, everything, you try to work it out. I used to remember the cushion I used to walk about with. Yeah. Sit on a cushion to make sure my back posture was right. But when I hit 30, I remember Giggsy, I used to do yoga, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I remember Giggsy used to say to me, when you hit 30, your body changes and then you'll start feeling things you never knew you had in your body. And I never really took it seriously. The moment I swear I hit 30, I was getting injuries that I never, like little spasms in my calves. I started doing yoga with Ryan and Karaz, but it was like from 30 years old, I was always constantly like wary of injuries at that time.
Go back to the start of your career, because I remember obviously you came to Old Trafford once, you got pumped 7-0 with West Ham, and they were singing Rio Ferdinand.
Yeah,
It was
unbelievable.
It was brilliant. And you were at that time.
You were laughing as well.
You had a mistake in you. You were young. You took risks, and then was it the move to Leeds that completely changed your sort of mindset on seriousness around defending, or was it because when you came to United, I always remember the words you said to me before every single game: nothing down our side, and it was a serious nothing down our side. I don't imagine the young Rio Ferdinand. So where have you gone from that sort of, if you like, carefree centre back that's, if you like, giving a goal away or two, you know, every other week, to being nothing?
I don't remember giving away too much stuff.
So you know what I mean? Fucking cafe! No, two, this serious defender who's coming up to me before a game, who's been at United for 10 years, saying nothing down our side. Yeah. When's that change come?
When he had to play with you.
I don't know. I think when I was at West Ham, I remember he used to pick me up. I was coming from an estate where I've got all my mates going, "What's going on every day?" Like, "Oh, my match of the day. Are you on tonight?" Like, so all I'm thinking about is impressing my mates really, and that would be just doing skills against a forward. we could get beat 3-1, but I've done a bit of skill and I go to my mates, watch on match of the day. They must be going to show it, and they wouldn't. But that was my mindset. It was all about if I play well, if I'd done a bit of skill on a forward, or if I'd come out with the ball for 3 or 4 times in a game. And obviously, as if Harry's championing that with me, and he's going, "This is brilliant. You're like a Rolls Royce. You're this, you're that, and the other." So I'm not getting that kind of defensive tutoring consistently, other than the odd bit here and there, 1v1s in training. And so, and to be fair, I'm getting applauded in the media for being a bit different as a centre half. So I'm thinking, I'm doing everything right here. And then I went to Leeds, and I remember when I signed for Leeds, they were talking about, you know, the agents and that, negotiating the contract money, and I said, "Can I just speak to the manager?" And I rang him and said, "Are you just going to coach me how to defend? Just coach me more, be aggressive."
David O'Leary.
Yeah, David O'Leary. And to be fair, he was true to his word. Him and Roy Aitken and Eddie Gray drilled me constantly on the training pitch. And obviously going from West Ham to Leeds, who are playing Champions League football, the stakes are higher. You take it a bit more seriously, your defensive responsibilities, and you start looking at the game a bit different. And that was part of the development, but also coming to United was just a totally different. I'm coming in there with you guys who have won like 4, 5, 6 Premier Leagues at that time, and I'm sitting there like on 0 trophies at all, let alone Premier League medals. And so I'm just sitting there thinking, like, how can I get better? And I remember we played West Brom. I don't remember. I played West Brom, and I tried to do a couple of like cross-field passes early just to show people, you know what I mean, what that money. Yeah. And then they got cut out, and Kumas hit the bar once, and I think almost scored the other one. And I remember coming at half-time, and the manager roasted me, unloaded. Like, "I don't know who you think you are. Give it to someone who can pass that ball." And so you just like you kind of take down your ego a little bit, and you just like, what's your responsibility in this team? There's so many better players with the ball who are there to create chances. I ain't got to do all what I was doing before. Just be good at defending. And so that's where that I used to always short and sharp little comments like that to you. Nani was, I know I always say certain things. Waz are the same, but like our side, you go tight. Don't worry what's behind you. That's my responsibility. Like little things like that, telling you, but also making sure that I'm ready in the game as well.
Do you prefer how centre-halves play now? Because with you being a technical centre-half, you know, when you say about the boom, like, because you like to play.
Yeah, but it's Busquets saying boom, boom. If it's Busquets saying it, you kind of take it.
You've got to take it.
But I look here now, my boys play, your boys play now. And the risk they take, man, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, one of my kids is a goalkeeper. And what he has to do on the ball, I didn't have to take the responsibility like that as a player on the pitch. But
do you think it would have elevated you even higher as a player, the way they play now, receiving the ball in the 6-yard box, being almost playmakers from the back?
Stepping into midfield.
Because I think you've said in the past, I think you've mentioned this maybe with Eriksen, a little bit with England, where you almost felt like you were stopped from being what you could have been. But was that also at Manchester United as well, what you've just said about Ferguson?
So Alex Ferguson was the same. I think Glenn Hoddle was always encouraging me to run out with the ball. He said to Ince, and Ince was one of my heroes as a kid, he said, Ince, you step back when Rio's on the ball, and I was like, Jesus, So the confidence I had doing that, and I think that if I was given that confidence by a manager and the structure of the way they're playing now, maybe I would have been better, or I'd have got a bit extra percentage out of my performance. But I think I learned over time that I used to approach a game and go into it, what can I do with the ball? Which was wrong for a centre-half to be thinking. It was more, my mindset was, in the end, when I got to United, was it grew into being, right, clean sheets, defend first, and then the natural ability would just do what it's got to do, but I have to really focus on my defensive responsibilities to be as good as I can be.
I always say that because we all describe players. I always think all of us as players, we always get put in a box, you know, of like, you're this, and you're known as like a ball-playing centre-back, and then not so much a defender, as you just mentioned there at West Ham. But I actually think it was a little bit different than that. Whereas the managers you had basically had centre-back. Who did we pass to at centre-back? You're giving it to your full-back, you're giving it to midfield. But you were a great defender and didn't get enough, maybe, credit for being a great defender.
Maybe because the narrative was about maybe being different, because there wasn't so many ball-playing defenders then, so that probably took over, was the first thing that comes to mind. But it's like we were talking about Marcus, I keep mentioning, but sometimes you need people to kind of influence you as well. I remember I've always said this about Roy, when I signed, you were the captain, but I remember playing the ball to Gary in training, like a simple 5-10 yarder, and you fucking went mad. And I'm sitting there going, what? He said, take some responsibility, pass it, don't just keep giving it a simple pass. You're not at Leeds and West Ham now. And I was sitting there thinking, this guy is like, ease me in, man.
He was right.
He was right, yeah. And
I knew when you give the Gary, we were going to give
I think, just something, I always think with this, just something, there's nothing worse than a defender at United. I don't know if it's like that at every club, I don't know if it's like that at every club now, but if you gave a goal away or you're responsible for giving a goal, you carried that, not just, you carried that for I might carry that for a few weeks. I'm like, I've got to have a few weeks now mistake-free or else I'm on a rot here. No, do you know what I mean? It's true. If you give that was how serious it was.
That's pride, wasn't it? That's pride.
It's like really bad for you to give a goal away or even have a part in.
Because you can't have people saying he'll give you something. If Ronaldo carries on playing like that, and I'm going to chase him down because he'll give us something. Because he wants
Pierce done that to me.
Yeah.
Stuart Pearce, another one who you look at, he's a hero, England player, legend, whatever. He's at Newcastle, end of his career, coming in at half-time. You might have been with us at West Ham then. Coming in at half-time, and he just shouted, he'll give us one.
Yeah.
Rio will give us one. I was like, kidding.
It gets into your head though, doesn't it? I remember going to centre half, and you know when they do the press, and they'd always leave it for the ball to come to me, because you know they obviously press the good centre half to start, and I'd be like, oh, for God's sake, you know then that you're the bad one.
You're the one that they've been talking about. You're the main person in the meeting.
Let Jill have the ball.
That's what I used to say to people. You was the main focus of our meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to us about the partnership with Vidic, and obviously for probably the best in Europe, I would imagine, for probably 3 or 4 seasons, that partnership, I would say. Who was the most important person in that partnership? Difficult one for you to answer, but...
I think we both needed each other. Vida, I interviewed him a while for Five, a little plug. It took an hour. But he said, which I agree with, he said, Nemanja Vidic isn't Nemanja Vidic without the relationship with Rio. And I'd say exactly the same. Like, there's only some players who probably attack in areas, midfield area, where you can go and do something on their own and just be that on their own. But I needed him as much as he needed me, definitely. Like, we had such different makeup as players as well. He was like a more aggressive front foot, attack everything in the air, body on the line always. And I was just a bit, I'd want to sweep, look after things behind him maybe, and be a bit more of that security behind at times, still step in at times, whatever. But so complemented each other, different styles. But there may have been times when one of us was more important than the other at certain periods maybe. But I think in the main, I think we definitely needed each other, 100%. Because he was, when he first signed, do you remember when he first signed? I just think saying like, he needs to go back. He was so bad in training.
I remember him at a game at Anfield. And him and Evra were both on the same side. I think it might have been the game where O'Shea scored in the last kick of the game. I think it might have been that one. And I think it was Bellamy against Vidic in that first half. We were attacking the Kop first half. it was like, I remember Ferguson at the side, because I was right-sided centre-back, so I wasn't far from the bench. I remember Ferguson, like, not screaming, almost like trying to actually just calm him down. He was like...
He was an emotional man, wasn't he?
all over
Really
the
emotional guy, like, and he was either, it was never too high, but he could always go too low, like, the bottom of the sea. Like, he was like, a bad pass or a bad performance at the early stage of his career, like you say, hangover for the rest of that week. He wouldn't talk to people. Yeah, and so it took him a while to get through that. But you remember, he's come from the Russian league. Exactly. He had that time to adapt. And I remember Wazza coming up and said, Wazza playing against me, training, said, like, he's terrible. He can't play for us. So it's like, send him, and Patrice, the same about Patrice, send these two back, we sign them. And then he's playing against Louis Saha, Rooney, Cristiano. I think Tevez might have been there.
Yeah,
like, playing it, them four in training every day. Imagine that's difficult.
It's a test, yeah.
Harder than most games on a Saturday. So, but what I would say is that grit and determination and that perseverance to better himself. He used to look at his body and say, "Wow, look at the state of me." Wow, like
He used to question his body a lot,
his body all the time, his physique, and then he went going to the gym.
He wasn't the biggest, was he?
Nah, he had massive legs.
The reason I say that, I remember bumping into him on holiday. And just like didn't know him really, but like on a beach somewhere.
Like pool.
Skiing. I was surprised. I always had him down as like this big man, and he wasn't frame-wise.
So
was he?
aggressive,
Yeah.
so aggressive. He used to. I mean, how many times did he break his nose? He had the worst nose in the game, right? But you'd come in and go,
Mr. Brucey.
yours truly. You'd come in and then you'd go, like, you'd be laughing and going, what's wrong with you? Like, go up and protect it. But he said, I just see the ball. Headbutt the back of people's heads. Like, he was like a lunatic, but he was a great
lad.
player, great lad.
Student to the game.
Yeah.
Was he the best player that you played with, would
Best
you say?
partner.
Yeah.
It got the best out of me.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, my partnership with Sol, I enjoyed playing that because, again, he was front foot, aggressive, quick, could cover the channels as well. Sol was a top player. He don't get talked about.
You're right.
Like sometimes when you're talking about top defenders, he was like a really, like that period, especially like from, what was it, 98 onwards for a few years, he was like...
No, 2001 probably a bit after that with
when he went to Arsenal.
Yeah, when he went to Arsenal, 2001 maybe.
But even the last years at Spurs, he was like, you lot were trying to get him to Arsenal.
Yeah.
I mean, to Man United, and I was sitting there thinking, well, I'm coming up, don't let him go there. But he was, but my relationship, some people you gel with, John Terry was good, but it wasn't as good as with Sol Campbell. I felt like we had a really good partnership. It would be hard
Sol's
to play
got the
again.
pace though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Would that have worried you playing with someone like JT because of the pace?
No, because Nemanja wasn't the quickest. He was quick enough, but Nemanja was just so aggressive on that first ball. You know what I mean? The ball used to go in and he used to be like, he'd come out, and in the end, you build that reputation where people they end up don't going near you. They end up playing out wide. How many times have Kevin Davis and people like playing against Pat or playing against you sometimes? And we used to think like, wow. But that's that reputation been built over time. And
The thing with Sol though as well, he is one of those centre-backs that doesn't get mentioned enough, and I think he feels it, doesn't he? When you look at his Instagram stories, he's always...
Is he on Instagram? Is he?
He's always putting a little thing.
Yeah, he lets you know now.
Don't forget how quick I was in the second half. There's a little thing like he's top speed.
I see that one. The speed was funny, that one. But he was like, Sol was like, he was top, man.
He's tough, yeah. You got in and around him as a forward. You're losing the ball if his body gets in close to you. You're
He
not.
used to have two masseurs on one on each leg.
Wow.
He was massive, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Two of them just on my leg like that at the same time.
Did you enjoy your time at England when you look back?
No, I don't know. I think if you ask the players now if they enjoy the time with England, they'll all go, we can't. You speak to them, Declan, all them boys, they're like, I can't wait to get there.
Yeah.
I weren't like that with England. I wasn't like chomping at the bit to go away with England. It was, you loved it when you were there and you played the game, but I didn't enjoy totally the environment. It weren't a perfect environment. Even when I first went there, it was very, very much like Man United over there, everyone else there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then it became a little bit more inclusive after that. Why was that anyway? Because you used to get down early and leave early, and we're all sitting there like on our starters.
I felt like with the Man United guy, because they was all young, it was you and Phil.
There was 7 or 8 of us, we growing up with each other. We just
and
used to-
Scholes, it was you lot all together.
We were always early.
People don't say this, Liverpool, Man United. It was never that, was it?
No.
It was Man United.
Because they had a lot of the guys in there. I remember 98, wasn't it?
Ego, that's called ego.
I always remember they get down to dinner early, and also when you know, like you're in a dressing room, you're an hour and 15 minutes before the game. The manager gives the team, you start getting dressed. They'd all be dressed in 5 minutes.
No,
and just sat there like
yeah.
that. Like,
And you think, and then when they leave for dinner, we'd say, fucking wank.
But there was a thing. What I'm saying to you is, you talk about the standards of getting ready early, being early, getting on the. We were first on the training pitch. Well, you said we were first in the canteen, by the way. We were first on the training pitch as well, by the way. So it was
Stretching.
We were honestly, being first and getting there and getting it done was really important to us.
Do you think it was difficult to leave your club hat at home? Do you know what I mean? Like, did you come into camp doing Man United stuff? Do you know what I mean? Instead of
I remember there was 7 or 8 of us, Jill, in there. At times there could be me, Beck, Scholesy, Teddy Sheringham, Coley, Nicky Butt, Phil, Wes. We could have 7 or 8 in there, and we were like brothers. We literally grew up with each other. So you get picked, and you obviously you knock on each other's door before you go down. You sit together. No one was telling us that it was anything different. When I look back now, when you think about cohesiveness in a team, you think about the impact that would have had on others. Even though we were young, by the way, we were 22, 23, 24.
Yeah.
We weren't like, we weren't the senior players in the dressing room or anything like that.
If you weren't all top players, you'd have been hated. I reckon everyone would have been going, look at them.
Look at them, yeah.
They'd have been.
That's the main headline.
You can't. When you like all top players, it's like, especially like Scholesy, like everyone's like going, fuck, how good's he like? But you couldn't hate yous because you were that good and you were winning. Obviously, it was just like, why are they like that?
But I don't think we were like sort of sat there slagging off the other players from the clubs or anything like that. We weren't like, it was just we sat together.
engage.
Yeah.
Remember, we're all like intrigued. The class of '92. You're sitting there, and you're all like robots there. Just winning machines.
Yeah, but you know what
That's
I
what
think
it was.
about? We done the under-21s together, didn't we? All different people, but I can't remember like Man United players actually in the 21s. To be fair, did you?
No, they missed it.
You never really did that, did you?
I played 18 games for United and then played for England.
So you'd never played for England at any level?
I played under 18.
Okay.
We played with Sol.
I think that's where it helps you, doesn't it? You sort of get to know each other.
But that's why this group of players of England now, I think they're so good because they've all come through.
Yeah.
It was only me, you, and Frank that came through together, wasn't it?
21s.
21s and.
Yeah, but you had like Kieran Dyer was there.
Kieran,
just different people, wasn't he? Just floating about different clubs.
Right, what did you think when Rio first came to United?
Obviously, we knew he was going to be a good player. There was obviously rumours, stuff coming through, and we're obviously delighted that he was coming in. Yeah, but again, when you're talking about managers or coaching staff come in, obviously Rio comes in, the first thing you do as a player, isn't it? We go, let's see what you've got.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I do with any player, and you just hope the player will come in, and from a selfish point of view, go, let's hope he makes us better, of course. But then you do the ups and downs like any other player, and you try. Hopefully, you try and help a player settle in.
Because you came out at a difficult period, didn't you? What year did you arrive at United?
2002, 2002, yeah. So after the World Cup.
So we won the league in 2002.
You hadn't won the league for 2 years.
Yeah, and then we didn't win the league for 3 years. First year you
won the league the first year, didn't you?
My first year
you won the league.
Huge pressure because you hadn't won the league.
Yeah, but then
you'd won the league.
But you didn't win it for 3 years after that, I don't think. We didn't win it between sort of 2004.
Did you win the league year before that?
Arsenal won it in 2002 and then Man United won it in 2003.
Yeah, but then we didn't win it for 3 years.
So your first year you won the league?
Yeah, my first year on, and that was probably the biggest pressure of any of my time at Man United, because I was coming and thinking they're on the back of winning so many things consistently, and I was like, massive money they'd spent on me, and I was like, what? If we don't win it now, everyone's looking at me. It's my fault. That's how I was thinking internally.
We were, yeah.
But it was like, we obviously won the league that year, and it was like a big relief, to be fair to me, but I needed the help. I remember we played against, I think it was Southampton away, we drew. And it was at the back end of the season, and in my mind, I was like, fuck, we fucked it, we've blown it. But I remember hearing you two in the shower going, that's a point game there. Good point, that's all right. Not what we wanted, but it's the point, and that it really helped me change. That's why we talk about United now. Where are those people that the newcomers are looking to get those little nuggets where it helps you stay on track? They're not there at
Mentioning them two in the shower and then little nuggets. I've just got images.
Jill, you don't mind, Jill. You don't mind.
I don't even know who's going to get cancelled on this show.
When was it though? Because you got United, and everybody, United's got this kind of mystique about it. It's United and the winning machine and everything. When did you realise this is the place, bro? This is pressure. This is it every game. Because what I remember of United is to try and beat them. You feel like unbelievable, and you've come in as a centre half. is coming in to solidify everything. When did you realise, Jesus Christ, man, this is the place?
I think just when I walked in the training ground, it weren't at a match. It was walking in the training ground and seeing all these guys sitting there. And in my head, I'm just counting how many Premier League titles they've all got. I've got 0 next to my name and just thinking, I've got to impress these first. I have to get over that first hurdle, which is these guys. Go out and train well. The most pressure I felt at United, I swear to you, was my first training session.
So who did you replace, Rio? Who would you have come in for? Who was...
Laurent?
Laurent Blanc, he was there.
Still there?
So I asked for the number 5 shirt and the gaffer went, Laurent Blanc's going to have to wait a year. Have to wait a year. But he says Laurent was there and I kind of come in for him really. And me and Mikel played for the first season.
Is that right? Mikel, yeah.
What number was your first season then?
6.
6. And he stayed 6?
He stayed 6 and then when he left I went 5. But it was the pressure of the players was the biggest thing for me. You want to impress your teammates and show them, like justify why they.
That's a lot of money at the time.
Yeah. So it was.
But you also want to impress a new player coming in as well.
Yeah.
Rio's coming in, big reputation, big money. You go, you want them to think you're a good player as well. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, that's what I think that always happened. I know the manager was good at that, buying a big player every summer. Yeah. So everyone else goes, like
Definitely.
you say, I need to show them why I'm here. Really important that was for us.
Why not management? Why punditry?
Personal circumstances. I was doing my badges. I wanted to be a coach manager 100%. Me, Wayne, Michael, Shazy, they've all done management now. I was on the same courses as them. Obviously, personal situations at home happen and it just like, I had to, if you're going to be a manager, you're there like 24/7. Like there's no time off. I've seen it with Stevie and Frank, the little time I've had with them. Like the change from being a pundit to being a manager, their phone's never off their ear. They're not really fully engaged because they're probably thinking about a million other things. And my kids needed me to kind of be like 100% with them. Like I'm at work, but I'm contactable. I can still be there. I can still get to parents' evenings and stuff like that. Where as managers, you know that they miss all that stuff. So I had to make a real quick decision. It wasn't even something I had to think about really. I'm not doing that. So and punditry, you're still involved. We're all doing it. We're all enjoying it. This is what you'd be talking about with your mates in the pub.
Do you love it, the punditry? I mean, I obviously, this is what we all do. I do. I mean, do you genuinely love it and being at the games and talking about football? Yeah, as I said, I'll be doing this anyway. My pals began to games, like loads of my mates come up for the game at the weekend. I'll be on that train or on that minibus with them. But no, I love it. And we get to see it firsthand and we're still close enough that you get to smell it and feel it a little bit. So I love it. And the week leading up, prepping for the games and stuff, getting that little bits of information that no one's seeing and stuff, and yeah, I love it. And just seeing the way the game's changed.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I think I just love it to be a bit more like American sports though, where the clubs are more open. They want you in there. They understand what the media means and represents, and you're part of the game rather than they treat the media a little bit like the clubs. Like you just stay there, just keep you off. Where do you think it should go to then? Sort of punditry. What type of access should we be allowed, and would you have liked that as a player? No, I just think maybe loosen up the players. But we weren't like that. We were. If you look back at interviews of us, we were a disgrace. Yeah. Like
speak for yourselves.
We were just like one-dimensional. Yeah. Just like answer the questions, bog standard answer, what everyone you've seen over the years. Yeah. But you look at the Americans, and they're such open books. Do you know what I mean? And they're quite. There aren't many boundaries with them. They say what they feel at the time. I'm not having that. You've said that about me, but I'd like them conversations. Like, I've been critical of Harry Maguire in the past, in a Man United shirt. In England, I've given him the praise that he obviously deserves. But in a United shirt, at times I've picked at his game and from a tactical perspective or his individual performance. And I know he's not going to be happy with that because I wouldn't be happy with people looking at my game. But I would love him to go, Rio, what's that about? Like, and have that conversation. Yeah. I know it's difficult because there's a lot of pressure, but I think the clubs shouldn't see us as the enemy. Or I don't think the enemy's too strong, but as we're not trying to get a story out of them. We want to enhance the game, enhance the product, and I think by getting players to be a bit more human and seeing them a bit stripped back would be really a good. I think in the role that we do, if you interview someone and you sort of, I wouldn't say build a relationship or you're seeing things from their point of view, you can't help but when you're then speaking about them or that team, you just warm to. I don't say you tell lies or say one thing one week and something the next, but you can't help but warm to see. Think, I want him to do well. I want that team to do well. I want
the goodwill.
Yeah. When you know someone a bit better, you do think better of them, don't you? Yeah. But Yeah, I don't know. Are we asking too much? I don't know. Like, but the reason I see it in American sport, where there's a lot more access and there's a lot more kind of understanding of what the media represents and what it means.
In America, it's mad, isn't it? They sit with the players who've just come out of the show.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Yeah.
NFL,
Nuggets.
But really, I agree with you, obviously, but I also then you mentioned it, when you step back into our careers, there was a lack of trust.
Yeah.
And why would these players now not have that same lack of trust for people who are at times criticising them on a weekly basis? Why would they be different than we were?
But I think...
You think about, say, for instance, match today, someone criticised you, the last thing that I would ever see any of us do is go and sit down with them after and say, let's have a chat about it. No, you know what I mean? We wouldn't.
But we must have got, when we were playing, did we not completely criticise?
No, we did.
We must have done.
But we did, Roy, but we probably wouldn't have then gone and sat with that person for probably half an hour after.
I get that, but you also wouldn't have been getting people to ring him up like your agent and go, oh no, you've been a bit harsh on me.
I get that.
You've got to get the balance right. You've got to
that.
take the criticism. Hey, you don't have to be pals with somebody, but like Rio said, and it happens, it's happened to one or two here, when you have been critical of a player, clubs get in touch through the media to get in touch with you to say, hey, you go,
can you ease down?
Or can you go easy, or can you give a lad a bit of praise? And you're like, no, you try and be fair to everybody.
Yeah. But that's social media, isn't it? And
No,
I
of
think
course.
in America, do they have a bit of a positive spin? Like, if you say something, they always focus on the negative, don't they, sometimes? So players then aren't as open in the interviews. But I think in America, they do seem really positive. Like,
But their media over there is, they're on it, and they've got more airtime as well. And they are drilling down on everything on these players, like more than what we do.
Are you still tweeting, Rio?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You weren't happy with that at the time, was you?
Which one?
When we first started.
No.
In the change room.
I always remember he was the first person I ever knew on Twitter, right? So he came in. I think I was just about to retire. I always remember the gaffer going, fucking twat!
Yeah.
Twat! I couldn't say the double T. Twat! Fucking twat! What the fuck, twat? And I remember saying...
That's what the dressing room was changing.
But we were all like, Twitter, why would I even think, what are you doing? It was like madness. You were the first person on it. You were the actual advocate of it at the time. Said this is the new way. This is the way in which to sort of, if you like, communicate moving forward.
Yeah, but that was the downside with the dressing rooms. You go back to, again, when we played, it sounds like it was 100 years ago, and I kind of had I remember not long before I left United, I kind of had a chat with some of the players where no problem players going on Twitter, but it was when they were coming in after training, where this idea of, I always thought was really important in the dressing room where lads would have some sort of conversation. But it was, the phones were taken.
I remember that Fletch. You drew Fletch. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, lads then were playing games.
It was the right message to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
He's like, Fletch, not Fletch. He was on his...
He was on his phone.
His phone on his PSP. It was on like a...
No, it's on his phone.
What did you do?
Do you remember?
What did you do?
What happened, Roy?
No, I was trying to make the point about, and I think the team were having a difficult spell. We hadn't won in a week. I was trying to make the point to the players, don't forget what it's about. And that would just, again, sometimes you get it right, the timing or whatever. I thought I was trying to do right. And a lot of players at the time, it was certainly going through a phase where a lot of players were on their phones in the dressing rooms. I think, was this Fletcher's phone rang when I was chatting? Was that what happened?
No, you walked in and he was on his phone.
On his phone, right, well, there you go.
And it switched you, and you went.
Oh, you went.
I didn't go, lads.
No, you did. He was 18 as well, it's unbelievable. He was devastated.
No, but obviously you're trying to help a player, and you're on about Fletch and setting examples. So I've got a young player in the dressing room, Fletch. I've got loads of thanks for Fletch. Jesus Christ, no problem. But you're trying to put a marker down and go, you're in the dressing room. There's you know what I mean?
You saw it early, Roy. You saw it early.
You got it wrong, like...
With that?
No, not that one, but at times at United,
absolutely,
with drilling players.
Of course. But I think most times I got it
Oh, like he's going to admit to it.
I know, of course. That's the whole point. If you keep, like, we heard it earlier, when you're trying to set examples, or when Stuart Pearce was setting examples for me, yeah, sometimes you think they've got it wrong, but the older you get, you go, maybe.
Do you remember Michael Stewart?
Yeah, Michael Stewart.
You remember that one? What was that one?
What, with me with Michael?
Yeah, do you remember? You sit on the ledge and do your leg swings before you go out to training.
Yeah, right.
And he's a young lad, Scottish international player. Every level.
But he wasn't that quiet. He was mad for the table tennis, remember? Yeah, but you're making all these guys.
No. He was. I'm not saying he was like a timid kid. He was like quite open. He's actually quite an open speaking guy now. But
he is, absolutely.
he was there. I don't know what triggered you, but I remember hearing you say to him, like, I just came down the corridor and I could hear you going, "You'll never make it, you. You'll never make it. You'll be playing for a pub team, the Swan or something like that. In a couple of years, you carry on the way you are."
I was right.
He ended up at Hibs. Hibs and Hearts, that's what he played
Confidence was dead on the floor.
Right, no. But I was trying to motivate him.
We started the
And he beat me at the table tennis, I remember. He was mad for the table tennis.
That's what Man United did. Yeah, but we started when we started talking about United needing that. They need that, whether you're right or wrong. You do need that. And obviously, you've seen where it is in United's dressing room now. You've got, like we were talking about, a player, and like he seems to be, like you're very worried about him. He needs that.
Yeah.
He needs that in the dressing room.
It reminds me of, Rio, you make the point, it reminds me of the stuff at United. I know we keep going about you. But the great thing at United at the time, you were about coming in and table tennis, everyone was competing, wasn't it?
Oh, man.
There was a competition. So if you were injured, you'd come back from an injury, you'd play a hockey or
yeah.
table tennis. Remember, lads would be fighting over the table tennis. Like, you used to have a table tennis before training. Lads would be fighting. Michael used to throw bats at me all the time, I'm telling you. Table tennis before training, but it was that environment, and then five-a-side or the boxes. You were on edge all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I think certainly you worry, have these clubs, have United got that at the moment?
No.
Because they're turning up for games and afterwards you're going, did they seem up for it? Did they have the, like when you sit there and talk about a team going, whatever about tactics and players having bad games, but you look and go, they didn't look up for it, they've not turned up, they didn't have the energy. You go, you're in trouble. You're in trouble if you're not on the edge all the time.
Imagine losing a game in training. Remember that used to be like losing a game in training and coming in. It'd just be absolutely like your day's done. It's finished.
Absolutely.
Ribbon all day long.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Jesus.
The arguments over five-a-side.
I used to think players got more wound up in them five-a-side than they did in the actual game on Saturday.
I tell you who the worst one ever is, Farrah Williams.
Farrah, yeah.
The
She's
worst
funny
one
girl.
ever.
We used to play Young Viola on a Friday, remember? I know, go back to the old days. They'd be kicking, look, the game's the next day, we'd have the benches, Fabian be up front, and we'd be kicking. Lumps like the game's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fabian was a striker. He was actually a better striker than a goalkeeper. No.
But you needed that though. Like, I thought it was always that. Like, if the training was up on a Friday, there weren't that zip in the training and that grit in the training on Friday. You used to think going into the game, we're going to be at it.
Let's finish on the golden generation.
Wow.
Why do you look at me? I'm Irish.
They were
don't care. Golden generation.
A team that was... It was J-Mo in net, Ashley Cole, you, pick any other partner, Sol Campbell, John Terry. I was right back. Cara was in the squad. Bex.
You were skiing.
Stevie.
Bex, Stevie, Frank, Scholesy, Rooney and Owen. Rooney and Owen.
What team?
Do you think we got the... Do you think it was a case of other teams were better, or do you think it was a case of that we didn't deliver what we should have done?
Brazil were better than us. 100. You go through Brazil's team, name their team when they beat us in the World Cup.
2002.
Their front three was Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Ronaldo. Cafu and Roberto Carlos fullbacks. They were Gilberto midfield. They were unbelievable team. We were kind of, it almost tarnished us, that name. I mean, it brought a bit of pressure. Expectations were probably a bit higher. France's team then was a good team, top team. I mean, so we were the golden generation. We had some really, really good individuals, top individuals, but I don't think we probably reached our potential because of the way we were put together as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only real negative I see about that team. It's almost like, what could we have been if we were actually put into a formation that actually benefited or that made them players play the best they can? Like you say, rigid 4-4-2. Like, and you've got other teams bringing players into midfield, Rivaldo dropping in with Ronaldo and wondering why we can't get close to him.
But if you were turning up Rio, you know, we've had this chat with lads who've played for England before, and a lot of them say a bit like you. Did you look forward to going? There was a bit an element of, no, I'm not saying you didn't enjoy the games or the challenge. And you were on about the 6-7 United lads sitting together. I know maybe a couple of years later. Did that certainly not help the group in terms of getting over the line in them tight games?
Maybe, yeah.
I've heard some of the England players say they didn't look forward to going away playing for their country.
You know, even though you name that Brazilian side, and they were amazing, and you look at our side, I still believe that with the right manager, I don't know, probably with Glenn Hoddle, with the way that Glenn Hoddle could move things around and change the formation and that, I think that I would, if you're going to put a team up against that Brazil side, it would be that with someone like Glenn Hoddle at the helm, because I think that as good as that team was, we had. I'd probably say, I don't want to say dig JMO out, but that's probably the goalkeeper would have been probably the weakest part of our team there when you look at what we had from front, midfield and back. I think that we probably, if we had the right manager, that team does something. Because it's not the golden generation for not. We had everything in those teams.
I think Glenn Hoddle, like you just mentioned him, I think it's a really good point. I think him going was probably the biggest reason we didn't go on to
kick
the
on.
Yeah, because you remember when we was in
Tactically,
the squad with
he
him,
would have done it, I think.
He was unreal. He had us playing three at the back, rotations from back to front. It was like
Telling
people
you.
rolling inside the pitch. It was crazy. Wing back and McManaman playing or Becks at times playing out wide.
Yep.
Not defensive players on the flanks. He just saw the game in a different way. And at that time, obviously, what happened with him, he leaves. But I think we lost so much kind of forward thinking.
Yeah, we missed one there,
I mean-
Glenn.
And finally, on Sunday, Liverpool come to Manchester United. The moment where you score.
Yeah.
Nice goal as well, Ray. It's a good goal.
Can
Got another badge you kissed.
He kissed it.
Oh, was it you?
What do you think?
What's the score?
Yeah.
What's the game look like to you?
The problem with United, I don't know about you, is that you don't know what's going to turn up. Like, even the other day when they beat Liverpool the other day, I think Liverpool lost that game.
Yeah,
More than
the
Man
cup,
United won that game.
the cup game.
Yeah. So, I think Liverpool have got a bit between their teeth, and there's a consistency with the way they're playing that makes them favourites, I think, even at Old Trafford at the moment. But I'm going to go for a draw.
Sit on the fence.
2-2. After all that, I'm going to go for a 1-1.
I'm really intrigued by it because I think Liverpool probably don't have to win the game, but they can't lose that game.
No.
I think they have to win.
You think they have to
I don't
win?
think on this title running, when you've got these three teams going for it, you can think that you can afford to just have a draw.
It's an away game, and we
I know they won't. I keep saying that.
I know, but you look at every game going, oh, they can't lose that game.
I think this weekend is really one of the biggest weekends of the running. I think all three teams are away. I think Man City go to Palace in the early kick-off, which won't be easy, 12:30 kick-off. Arsenal go to Brighton. They were at Anfield last week. Won't be an easy game. So I think if one of them sort of drop points in and the other two win, I think it'll feel like a real big sort of oomph. And I think if Liverpool win at Old Trafford, I know Man United are in great form, but you always say about when you were going for a title, you felt like if you won at Anfield. I think there is that little bit of freedom at Liverpool. If you win if they go to Old Trafford and win,
You're in the groove.
it's a big.
If they don't, Jamie, will you be around? Will we see it?
In the next 2 weeks.
Do you think? Sorry, before you finish, do you think football now is better than when we played?
They're all going to say no.
I think they're fitter and technically and tactically better, yeah. Whether it's more exciting to watch the odd game, but I think that was a disappointment last week, the City-Arsenal game. But generally, I think tactically, physically, technically, the game is a lot better.
Isn't it?
I'd like to see more 50-50.
The worst thing about COVID was watching your own games back, weren't it? And you're thinking,
You did that in COVID.
no, but all the old games were on the TV, weren't they? And you look at it and you think about what certain teams were like and what games were like, and it's just like everyone just kicking it long and tackling.
Yeah.
But would you change it? I
No,
wouldn't change
no.
it.
I like that.
But I actually think the Premier League this year has been one of the best. I mean, the goals in the league this season is off. You can say something about the defending, but I think some of the games this season have been unbelievable.
Rio, brilliant to speak to you. Thank you for coming on.
Nice
Brilliant.
one.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yes, I love you, bro. Nice one. Rio, they're scared to say, can you excuse us while we do Super 6?
Oh, sorry, go on. I'll sit in the stands.
He's scared of you.
Because of your sponsors.
Go on.
Respectful, isn't it? Yeah, all right, we'll do Super 6 quickly. And
Let's do it quickly.
Great, okay, last week's scores. Gary, you got 11.
Yes.
Because
Great.
of me.
I
Top
thought they would have got
20%.
more.
Top 20%.
Gary and Jill.
Gary and
Gary
Jill.
Jill, well, good
All right.
point, actually.
It's like I'm not on this
Friday, we had
podcast.
a nightmare.
Bro, I
Fantastic.
don't know
All
if
right.
I'm a
Four.
boy.
Yeah, you had my point. 4.
It was the international break. He'd been
94
travelling,
points.
but it was just, we were on
Oh,
stars, weren't we?
Yeah, we're out of
Oh, the fact you didn't have me.
Yeah.
Where were you, Righty?
What day was it?
4 points.
I can't even remember.
You
man.
ain't got an excuse.
I have got an excuse.
Were you
was
abroad?
the international break.
You're on holiday.
Yeah, I was abroad.
Whereabouts?
I can't remember.
We won't concentrate.
I can't remember. See, I'm not even concentrating
So
now.
this week's score, this week's
even
game.
concentrating.
Gary, you go first.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going for it this
well,
time.
yeah.
I'm going for
Let's
it.
concentrate.
Am I with yous or yous?
You're with us.
Okay.
2-1.
You need us.
Yeah.
2-1.
Brentford's my team.
Yeah.
Brentford had so many chances against United.
Yeah, but everyone has chances against United,
Here we
Jill.
go. Villa, you always get Villa right, Jill.
106 chances in 3 games.
Brentford had a lot of chances against United.
That's at home. They're much stronger at home. Villa very good at home. It's got to be Villa, hasn't it?
Do you
Ollie
think?
Watkins, is Ollie Watkins playing?
Yeah, but he's missing.
Right, what does your heart say?
Brentford.
To win?
You're in one of these little silly moods,
I'm
aren't
not,
you?
but
We're getting to that stage of the season where you've got to really catch you. You've got to do some
Yeah,
like
gotta do something
strange,
extra.
quirky
Yeah, but
things.
we-
Yeah,
gotta
and I
do
don't
something.
mind that, but we don't have to do it on this game.
So you think that Villa will beat Brentford?
I think like a 2-2. You think Brentford would beat Villa?
I'm trying to get points here, Jill. I'm not sitting on the fence. I'm feeling like
You know
Brentford
Roy's
can
going to
do
just
it.
take charge anyway.
No, I'm gonna. No. Come on.
No, what do you think? Go on.
I think Villa will beat them.
2-0.
I'll give Brentford a
Brentford a
goal.
goal. Do you know we could stick with 2-1, but then we're not going to catch up with them.
No.
Yeah.
But there's no point in going. We got 3-1, so we take the
3-1,
gamble, will
okay.
we? Just to.
He loves a tree.
Who's first on the Fulham one?
Fulham are winning this all day. They're on the back of a shocker against Forest. Do you agree? No.
I think Fulham will win.
I'm going to say
Go on then.
Newcastle got big injuries.
It's our
No,
goal.
they go
yeah.
first.
It's our goal. I think Fulham will win.
Yeah, I'll go Fulham as well.
Go on, you go to score.
One then.
3-2.
Oh.
Gone big.
What, he's gone 3-2?
No, I'm just saying that. It's up for conjecture.
That was a definite 3-2. That wasn't like a, is it 3-2 or sort of like a...
That was
He
a
needs,
3-2.
we need
3-2.
points.
I'm
Let's
gonna
just do
Imagine
it.
not doing 3-2 now and
know.
it ends up 3-2.
Let's just do it.
2-1. 2-0.
Indecision on your
2-0.
side is
2-0.
embarrassing.
2-0, but put it in.
2-0 Fulham, yeah?
Of course.
You're an indecisive unit.
I'm not, but now you see that? I would have went 3-2. I would have went 3-2.
We need an
3-2.
away win.
I really hope that you don't win 3-2.
There's no mini rolls. Where's the
Wolves West Ham.
chocolate?
We need an
not the mini
away win
rolls.
here.
Okay,
It's your goal.
can we get mini rolls?
Wolves, West Ham, honestly...
1-1 written all over.
Yeah, we'll go
Let's do
1-1.
an away
1-1,
win.
1-1.
A West Ham win.
West Ham, yeah, Jared
Yeah.
Bowen away
Got
from
no
home.
strong feeling about these games.
2-1 West Ham.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
What do you think, Roy?
Hey,
No, say something.
no, I'll go with it. I'll go with it.
I'm going to go 2-1 West.
Yeah.
But hang on a minute. Why am I saying that? Did you see the chances they missed?
Lads are bored now. Are you getting bored of this?
No, I mean, this...
Maybe they've worked
decisive
on
enough.
finishing.
Honestly,
I think
indecision's
2-1.
terrible.
Go on,
Go on,
2-1 West Ham.
Oh, you said, yeah.
2-1.
Yeah.
2-1 West Ham.
Right.
Don't put people under
Come on,
pressure,
West
Cal,
Ham.
just because you know what you want to do. I don't like the way
2-0
you're moving
Arsenal.
right now, bro. You're moving. You're
I think
not
Arsenal
moving
win.
right.
Do you think?
2-0.
You think 2-0 clean sheet?
Yeah,
Think?
no one can get at them, can they?
They defended very well at
Yeah,
the
I'll go with that.
weekend.
Yeah, 2-0.
They
2-0.
did.
Yeah, I'm up with that.
I think we'll,
2
do
Arsenal.
you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
I think
Did you see us
Arsenal-
against
We'll get a
City?
goal.
If we can hold up City, we
Arsenal
can
will
hold
get a
up.
few
It's a
goals.
game.
You prefer our scores to
3-1?
yours, that's the problem.
We haven't got a draw
Can I
yet.
jump ship?
We haven't even got a draw yet. That's our problem.
You ain't going to draw
3-1
there, though, are you?
Arsenal.
You're not going Arsenal, Brighton.
It's over then. If you draw there, it's over.
No, they'll beat Luton, then they'll be happy. They'll take the draw down there.
We'll go. 2-0's a good score.
You can't draw there.
He thinks
not one
there'll
of the
be a
games they can
goal
draw.
though.
I don't think.
So they're going to win every single game. Is that what you're
But that's
saying?
not the game they can draw. I mean, you maybe.
Brighton away.
I don't think that's the game they can drop points in.
3-1.
They need them in the bank when they go to Old Trafford
You
and
want to see
to
it,
I go
don't you?
I go 2-1.
I think Arsenal will get some.
2 or 3-1 Arsenal, yeah.
Is this
We'll go with
Liverpool's
2 or
toughest
3-1.
game left?
3-1. Go 3-1.
Would you say?
Yeah.
3-1 then Arsenal.
3-1 Arsenal.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, yeah.
Not happy.
I know.
This is
Because
going to
of
be
it.
big, I think. Like
Is
big.
Is this us?
2-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, we've got
We
2-1
won't be on the same page here.
They can't go
2-1
the same. They can't go the
Liverpool.
same.
2-1
Liverpool to win, yeah?
Liverpool to win.
Do you not think it'll be bigger than that?
I can't see it.
Man United against Brentford the other day.
I do actually think that'll be the score.
I think it'll be a draw.
Do ya?
Boring. Don't copy us.
I think it'll be a draw.
Yeah, well,
Let's go
hey,
1-1
They're
then.
capable
I'm
of
gonna go
copying
1-1.
us because they
I go 1-1.
1-1 in that
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
We
yeah.
have to win it.
I know they do.
that's not the game to drop point,
No.
Gary. Not that one.
You know what?
Chelsea,
To be
United.
honest, it's a game
Chelsea
that
win that,
Liverpool
don't they?
mustn't lose.
We'll say Chelsea win that, you know?
It's against a United
Cole Palmer
side.
had
Give it
£1
chances.
bottle jobs. Will they go to Sheffield United?
You know something?
Stop using these inflammatory quotes.
Do you regret that or?
No,
No, it was a
you
good
said it
quote.
in a moment in time. wasn't
Every
it?
time you
It's
do
like
the
the League Two
TV.
quote, and it's like you
Yeah.
say something, you don't expect it to get the traction it gets. You know what I mean?
Well,
Doesn't do you any harm, though, does it?
Didn't is Pep come back at you?
I'd hope so.
of course
yeah.
he did,
he
yeah.
has.
Of course he did, yeah.
That doesn't mean Pep's right.
I know.
No, I
Everyone
know.
thinks Pep's right all the
Football
time.
managers are right about
Yeah.
absolutely
No, I
everything.
didn't say
they're
he
not.
was right, but I was wondering if he'd
I've
like
watched Man
said
City for the last 10
something
years.
back.
I don't think I've ever criticised them once,
Yeah.
or any of the players. And then they all get a bit upset.
Felt,
All a
yeah.
bit delicate, aren't they?
Yeah. What's the
As if we
scores?
never got
What's
did
the
we get
scores?
criticised when we were players?
Big,
Yeah.
big,
And
big.
what did we
big.
do?
Got on with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got on
It's
with
social media, that's why. Do you
Chelsea.
think these will get a lot?
We got.
It's your goal.
it. Sure, go. You're
It's their goal.
first.
We go.
Thank you very much.
Oh, brilliant.
Chelsea
Thank
go
you.
well,
Scrimping
Yeah,
on
Chelsea
these
win.
now.
No, we're at start again.
3-1
'cause I've got-
Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah.
3-1 to Chelsea.
3-1 Chelsea.
Well, I was going to say that.
I was going to say 3-0.
It's getting to that point whereby you
Chelsea
better
concede.
start bringing. That's
2-1.
22-point
2-1
lead.
Chelsea. 2-1 Chelsea.
22-point lead.
We've done 3-2-1s.
We just.
Great, thank you. That's Super Six.
Wow, Ben.
Well done, Ben.
I think one of them will be a 0-0. I know it's gone now.
Well, I'm
Your body language
No,
suggests that I'm not in it.
No, I'm doing sideways. You have to do sideways, Roy, so you can get in like
I'm going
that. Don't squeeze up on me like that.
He's rubbing his tools on you.
He's rubbing himself on me. He done it on purpose as well. It's really
Brilliant, everyone.